When the Red Sox wear yellow, good things tend to happen. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. The Red Sox have picked themselves up a little bit here. They won their series against the Kansas City Royals, taking 3 out of 4 games, putting their season total at 60 and 55 games, firmly planting them in 4th place in this division. Also, 4 games back of 3rd place, and more importantly, 4 games back of a wild card spot. Now, this was a bit of a weird series, not only because of things that happened on the field, because there were a lot of weird moments on the field in this one, but also because of the fact that it didn't really feel like the Red Sox won this series, at least from the offensive side of things. So what we're going to do in today's video is we're going to break down this latest Red Sox series. We're going to talk about all the highlights from the latest Red Sox series, everything that went well, how they were able to win this series despite their offense, and we're going to talk about some of the concerns as well that showed up in this series. But before we get into that, do me a favor. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's start by talking about the offense, because like I said, it felt like the Red Sox didn't win this series offensively. It's because it feels like this offense is still in a bit of a rut. Now, that doesn't mean there weren't good performances in this one. If we're trying to figure out who was the offensive MVP here, I think the clear answer is Pablo Reyes. Pablo Reyes in this series went 8 for 15 with what I would say the most important swing of the series and a walk-off grand slam in the first game. He also had a double as well, and I don't know if it's the Red Sox officially putting their faith in him or what, but it feels like he's stepping up in a big way, and the Red Sox offense really needed someone to step up in a big way. I just don't think anyone expected that person to be Pablo Reyes. Either way, he had a really great series and some really big moments as well. Outside of Pablo Reyes, Tristan Casas remains really productive at the plate. He had a hit in 3 out of 4 games in this series. He also hit an absolute tank of a home run, which was his furthest hit ball at the major league level. He hit it 431 feet. It was 108.7 miles an hour off the bat. Just an absolute tank job from Tristan Casas, whose season OPS plus is now up to 121. He's firmly cemented himself smack dab into the middle of what the Red Sox have been trying to build all this season. And all I want to say is I told you so. Adam Duvall kind of had a sneaky productive series in this one. He only had 3 hits, but every single hit he had felt really meaningful. He had a home run in this series. He had a double that was hit off the foul line on the Green Monster. It was sent into review and then declared a hit. It was a really, really weird moment, which tends to happen when the Red Sox wear yellow jerseys. But either way, he's not getting a lot of hits overall, right? He's still got that lower average, but it feels like every time Adam Duvall does make contact with the baseball, it's in a really meaningful way, and he did that a couple of times in this series. For those of you who do not know, Trevor Story came back in this one. He made his season debut. He's still getting used to, 1, major league pitching. It's the first time he's faced major league pitching in about a year. 2, the pitch clock. He's never played with the pitch clock before, so it wasn't exactly pretty, but he did get his first hit in a Red Sox uniform in 2023, and it was almost off the center field wall. It went for a double, and he looks pretty good on the field as well. So once he gets used to the batter's box, I think he'll be doing really great. But outside of that, the Red Sox offense still remained pretty quiet. You could tell this Red Sox offense is still scuffling a bit. The last time they were like this, when they really kind of went onto a downturn here, right before they got going again, they had a couple of games where they were hitting the ball really hard. It just wasn't producing results. And what we saw in this series were a couple of games like that, where they were hitting the ball hard, they were having good at-bats, they just weren't getting the results. Hopefully that's the same signal that, hey, this offense is going to pick itself up, because yes, the yellow jerseys are magic, but you're not going to be able to wear those all year, so you got to get this offense going. Maybe it was the fact that Justin Turner was missing from the middle of this lineup all throughout this series, right? That obviously probably didn't help in a positive way for the Boston Red Sox, but you need guys like Devers, Doogie, Duran, Massa to pick themselves up and get going here, or this offense could be very dead in the water. On top of that too, I know it's super early to say and demand anything from Trevor Story. He's trying to battle back to being a productive major league player, but Getting Trevor Story going would be absolutely massive for this offense. So there are a couple guys that need to get going here, but either way, they did just enough to win 3 out of 4 games in this series. And at the end of the day, if you're getting 3 W's as opposed to 4 L's, we're going to take that every day of the week. But I'm just talking about going forward here. It's about to get really, really meaningful. Every single game is going to be extremely important. And for the Red Sox, that means you really need to get this offense going, because normally they're the biggest reason why you win and lose series. As for pitching in this one, honestly, they held it down and got the Red Sox a series win in this one. In game 1, you got Brayan Bello, who had a really great performance here. He went 6 2/3 inning, allowing just 1 earned run on 6 hits and only striking out 2. Obviously, I would love it if Bello were able to strike out 9 or 10 people per game, but also just as a pure baseball fan, I think it's really, really impressive when Bello goes out there, realizes he doesn't have his strikeout stuff, and just manipulates his pitches and manipulates the strike zone to get guys to roll over into double plays or get guys to produce weak contact. I think it's one of the most fascinating arts in all of baseball, is a pitcher producing weak contact. So to me, despite the fact he didn't strike out a ton of players, this was a really fascinating game. Game 2 saw Cutter Crawford, and he was really the only starting pitcher that struggled a little bit. He ended up going 3 1/3 innings, allowing 3 earned runs on 7 hits, and somehow still striking out 6 batters. And I know this sounds super obvious, but the difference between games where Cutter keeps the ball in the yard and games where Cutter even gives up a singular home run are such a massive difference statistic-wise. When Cutter Crawford can keep the ball in the yard and not give up a single home run, he looks pretty dominant. But it feels like the second he gives up a home run, even if it's a solo shot, he sort of unravels a little bit. So like I've been saying almost the entire year, really, if Cutter can just keep it in the ballpark, good things can happen. And it just simply did not work out that way in this series. He simply just did not have his best stuff. In game 3, Nick Pivetta got an actual start for just the second time since going to the bullpen. He went 5 innings, allowing 2 earned runs on 4 hits and striking out 8 batters. I think Nick may be slowly playing himself back into this rotation. Maybe it is out of the bullpen technically, but he's been making really decent starts for a little bit now. I am really curious to see, once we get Houck back, once that ends up being Sale and Houck moving into the rotation, whether or not they end up sticking with what they're doing with Pivetta right now and allowing him to sort of be that 5th starter, maybe just out of the bullpen instead of technically in this rotation, or if they keep Cutter Crawford in this rotation, right? Cutter's had some really, really great performances, and I feel like his ceiling is pretty high, but he also very clearly has a couple of things he needs to work on, and I wonder which direction the Red Sox are going to go. Are they going to go with Pivetta, kind of Penvetta right now where he's coming out of the bullpen, or are they going to go with Cutter Crawford and see what his ceiling could possibly look like? That's going to be a really interesting decision in the next couple of weeks. As for the finale of this one, James Paxton got the ball, and like I was telling my box seat members in our members only chat here before every single game, James Paxton's been having a bit of struggles on the mound over his last 5 games. Luckily, he was able to settle down and reel it in and really focus in this game. He snapped out of it and was able to go 5 1/3 innings, allowing not a single earned run on 6 hits and striking out 6. We really needed a start like this from Paxton. He's been the anchor of this rotation the whole year, and going forward, him and Bello are still going to need to be those anchors if the Red Sox want to be successful. Like I said, Paxton's been struggling a bit, and I think what's happening here is we're starting to see a little fatigue. He hasn't pitched this many games in a pretty decent amount of time. He's 34 years old. That velo is dropping. What I want to see from James Paxton is not that velo ticking back up. I think it's unfair to be like, hey, I need you to push past what you can push past to get back to that 95-mile-an-hour pitches you were throwing at the beginning of the year. But what I want to see is him making those adjustments and being able to still get outs with a little bit less velo. And that's what we saw in this game, and that's a really, really great sign. As for the bullpen in this series, the core of this bullpen, guys like Bernardino, Schreiber, Winkowski, Chris Martin, who may genuinely be the best reliever in all of baseball, and Kenley Jansen were really great, right? I think only out of all of those guys, I think only Kenley allowed a single earned run in these 4 games, and it was a solo home run in the 9th inning, but he was still able to lock it down. Outside of that, I don't think they allowed a single earned run. Now, when you're not talking about the core of this bullpen, it's a very different story. There were 2 guys not in those core 5 guys that pitched in this series. They combined for a total of 6 earned runs over 5 innings, and that's been the problem lately for the Boston Red Sox, right? Your core guys have still been solid, but those sort of outliers, those sort of role-playing bullpen pieces just simply have not been able to get the job done. Now, the Red Sox have have been making a lot of different changes in the bullpen lately, so hopefully that's something that can help out this team. And on top of that too, you're getting Sale back today. For those of you who don't know, he is coming back today on Friday, and you're getting Whitlock back on Sunday, so hopefully that pushes some pieces back into the bullpen that are going to be a bit better than the role players we are seeing right now. But either way, it's a bit of a problem right now for the Red Sox that you can't use your core guys every single game, and you can't rely on your outlier type, role-playing type relievers. So what do, right? And that's kind of what we've seen over the last couple of weeks. But either way, I think overall, when you're talking about the main pieces of the bullpen, they did pretty well. And like I said, pitching in general is really the main reason the Boston Red Sox were able to take this series home. The Red Sox pitching staff was able to shut down a pretty brutal offense in the Kansas City Royals. Aside from MJ Melendez, who may genuinely be Barry Bonds against the Boston Red Sox, they were able to do a really good job of kind of silencing the Royals offense for the most part. As for the series as a whole, thank God for those yellow jerseys. Like I said, just the strangest things happen when the Red Sox put on the yellow jerseys, and for the most part, it usually benefits them, right? You had the Duvall double off the foul line that I had not seen in a very long time, a double that would have scored a run and tied the game, but instead it landed in the light bulb on the monster, and Moss had to take it out, and so it ended up being a ground rule double, and the runner had to stay at third, preventing the run, right? I think everyone said that's the first time they've ever seen that. You had funky doubles, you had a walk-off grand slam that just barely stayed fair, right? All of these things, I'm telling you, it's because there's magic in those yellow jerseys. Unfortunately, though, the Red Sox can't rely on yellow jerseys saving their season, right? Again, you're going to need the Red Sox offense to start being your magic producer going forward, and it needs to start producing magic now, right? Again, it's not just the yellow jerseys. You need to get that offense going because that's the real magic of the 2023 Red Sox. It's what they've been able to do offensively, despite all the injuries, despite all that. So they need to get their offense going, and it needs to get going now because you're looking at a really, really interesting part of the season where the Blue Jays have a really strong next couple of weeks and the Red Sox not so much, at least next couple of series. This is a prime opportunity for the Red Sox to be able to make up some ground in a wild card spot that they absolutely let themselves slip. And it's not up to the front office. It's not up to the manager of the team. It's up to the players on the field, and they got to do what they got to do. But either way, we'll see, right? But before that happens, let me know in the comment section down below, what did you think of this series? Do you think there's magic in those yellow jerseys? Do you think it was just the Red Sox being the Red Sox? Let me know all your thoughts on the latest Red Sox series in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.